So good afternoon all of you and welcome back to Excelsior Academy. So as a part of animal tissue culture, today we are going to study about the hybridoma technology. So this is very important because many a times question comes and it is the only one question. So even though I'm going to take the entire lecture for you, mainly the question comes like which is that the enzyme responsible for the hybridoma cell selection. Okay, so it is SGPRT. So now it says I'm giving you the answers and the question also. But in order to understand why that enzyme is the answer, we need to listen to the lecture. Okay. So let's talk about the hybridoma technology. So fusion of cultured animal cells can yield into specific hybrid useful in somatic cell genetics. So I have mentioned already once that there is one lecture which I have taken regarding the cell fusion. Remember, anyone can tell me what are the different types or the methods by which you can fuse the cells?
Electrical cell fusion,
Yes,
transmission cell transfusion,
transfusion. Electrical is there. Then what else is there? There were four methods were there. Electrical,
only two
you
we know, ma'am.
why? I think I took the lecture, or maybe I have not taken the lecture, but I made the video and shared the link. Okay, so in the cell fusion,
Ma'am, voice breaking.
it's not. Now it is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
So first is the electrical cell fusion, in which you actually give the impulse, small electric impulse you give so that the membrane fuses, right? The other method is PEG, polyethylene glycol fusion. So you add this thing so that the cell membranes of the two different cells will fuse, okay? The other method was using the Sendai virus. If not, please go through that lecture, then only it will be clear. And the fourth method is thermoplasmonic method. So that fourth method is like very latest, very recent one, in which you're using actually the laser and a short impulse. So that what happens is the cells actually fuses. Okay, so if you go through that lecture, it will be more clear. So in short, what is happening in all the cases, your hybrid is formed. Okay, so in this lecture, we are talking about the hybrid only, not about the method. Okay, so cultured animal cells infrequently undergo cell fusion spontaneously. So infrequently means it is not that frequent, only when it is required. So whereas you need to, where can you give me the examples where you see only one cell but so many nuclei are present? Any examples can you give? It comes under the category of lymphocytes, or rather I should say WBCs. No? So foveal monocytes are the cells in which you can see many nuclei and only one cell is there. Okay, so they are actually called the heterokaryon. Okay, so it will be clear, more clear if you just go through that lecture once again. So the fusion rate, however, increases greatly in the presence of certain viruses. So this virus over here they are talking about is the Sendai virus that have lipoprotein envelope similar to the plasma membrane of animal cells. Okay, so here what happens is you have got the two cells are there. Okay, different cells are there, 1 and 2. Then what you do is you take the virus, okay, and they have got certain receptors, right? So all the cell membrane have got certain receptors. These viruses go and fuses with these, and they bring together these two receptor. They will come in contact, in very close contact, and then they get fused. Are you getting the point? So you have the two different cells are there. There are the receptors are there. So these virus goes and binds to the receptor and bring different cell lines together, and then they get fused. A mutant viral glycoprotein in the envelope promotes the cell fusion. So that is again in the case of Sendai virus. So many different forms has been made in the companies for the better research purposes. Now, cell fusion is also promoted by PEG, that is polyethylene glycol, which causes the plasma membrane of adjacent cells to adhere to each other and to fuse. Now, how this will be carried out? You have got the test tube, in that you have got the cells. To this, you add your PEG. Okay. Now, wherever, suppose this is a membrane of two cells, PEG is present over here. Because of its hydrophobicity, it will bring this cell and this cell in close proximity, and then it will cause the fusion of the membrane. Okay. As most fused animal cells undergo cell division, the nuclei eventually fuse, producing viable cells with a single nucleus that contains chromosomes from both parents. Now, this fusion of the cells will result into something called heterokaryon. So, what is important to understand? Heterokaryon. So, what is heterokaryon? The two cells which are genetically different cells. For example, let us take the human cell and the mouse cell. So, if you fuse these two cells, what you are going to get, the hybrid cell is called the heterokaryon. Now, somatic cells from animal cells can be cultured from single cells in a well-defined medium. So, cultured cells from different mammals can be fused to produce the interspecific hybrids. And now we are going to talk about in detail. Okay, sorry for this non-alignment. So now the hybrid cells can often be selected on hat medium. Now, what is hat medium over here? This is what you need to remember from here onwards. Okay, so there are certain media in which you're going to give them the certain specific nitrogen source and all, so that only that particular cells can actually grow. Okay, so please from here onwards just have the more concentration. So most animal cells can synthesize purine and pyrimidine nucleotides. So it is called, if you synthesize purine and pyrimidine from the very basic, like using the carbon and nitrogen compounds, then it is called de novo pathway. Okay, this will do in biochemistry, don't worry. And in detail, we have to do with lots of enzymes and all the pathways we need to study. So if you synthesize purines and pyrimidines from the simpler compounds like carbon and nitrogen, it is called de novo pathway. Okay. Now the folic acid antagonists called amitriptyline and aminopterin interfere with the donation of methyl and formyl groups by the tetrahydrofolic acid in the early stages of de novo synthesis of glycine, purine nucleosides, and thymidine monophosphate. Okay. So what you have to remember is that folic acid antagonist. So for your de novo pathway, folic acid is very important. Okay. So that's why in many doctors also, whenever any new cell lines, or if you're healing, or if any new cell lines or cell has to be produced, so every time you give the folic acid. Now there's a story behind folic acid also, that it was the first drug which was considered to stop the cancer cells actually. Okay, initially it was thought that folic acid is responsible for killing the cancer cells when leukemia was first came to known as the big blood cancer, right? Now, so the doctor thought that the folic acid is responsible in stopping the leukemia, the blood cancer. But later they came to know that by giving folic acid, you are actually increasing the cancer cells. Why? Because cancer cells will do what? They just take the nearby nutrients from the normal cells and they just keep on dividing, right? And folic acid is responsible for your purine and pyrimidine synthesis. So cancer was dividing rapidly, and later then it was stopped. Now it is given as the vitamin supplements. Okay, so coming back to the topic over here. So folic acid antagonist. What do you mean by antagonist? It is going to have the opposite effect. Okay, so what are those two drugs? Amitriptyline and aminopterin. Okay, so these two you need to remember. So they interfere with the donation of the methyl and formyl groups. Now this you will understand once we start doing the biochemistry. Okay, where we are going to talk about the nucleic acid, its synthesis and degradation. Now what you have to understand is that folic acid, that is tetrahydrofolic acid in this form, okay, THF form, it is actually giving the methyl and formyl groups while in the synthesis of purine and pyrimidine. Okay. Now, what are the blockers? Amitriptyline and aminopterin. Please remember. So they are also called antifolics since they block the reactions. Now, many cells contain enzymes that can synthesize the necessary nucleotides from purine bases and thymidine if they provided in the medium. So that is called salvage pathway. So what does it mean? It is not going through the de novo pathway. It is going through the, if suppose the bases are present, so they can just modify the bases and can make guanine, adenine, cytosine and thymine. Okay, so if suppose bases are present, then they can make the nucleotides and can form the nucleic acid. So that pathway is called salvage pathway. Now understand that if you have got the enzymes which can make nucleotides using the bases and the thymidine, then it can bypass the metabolic blocks imposed by the antifolates. Are you getting the point over here? There are two pathways, de novo pathway and the salvage pathway. De novo means from the very basic carbon nitrogen you have to make the purine pyrimidine. Whereas in the case of salvage pathway, from the purine bases you're going to make. Okay, please remember because this is important. Now, look at the figure over here. So this is de novo synthesis. It is given in very short. Okay, this is not the way we are going to study when we are going to do in biochemistry. It is going to be in very detail. Okay, so just for the timing over here. Okay, so we have got the PRPP 5-phosphoribosyl pyrophosphate. Then it will go and it will give you IMP. So these are called your purine bases. Now from IMP, that is your inosine, you can get guanine and adenine. Okay, is it clear over here? From IMP, you can get both guanine and adenine. Okay, now in the case of de novo pathways, so many in the case of de novo pathways, so you have got the antifolates which can block the de novo pathway. Now in the pink which is shown is the salvage pathway. So from hypoxanthine, if you add PRPP, you can get inosine. So once you get inosine, you can get your guanine as well as adenine. So what are the enzymes over here? HGPRT. You have to remember this enzyme, HGPRT. So what does it stands for? Hypoxanthine guanine phosphoribosyl transferase. Hypoxanthine guanine phosphoribosyl transferase. Please remember, okay? So now this enzyme is present in which pathway? It is present in the salvage pathway. Okay, so you can stop me in between if something is not clear. Same way, you have got adenine phosphoribosyl transferase for your adenine synthesis. Now, in the case for thymine, so we have got the de novo synthesis of TMP. From TMP, you get the CMP also. Okay. Now, in the case of salvage pathway, we have got the thymidine. From thymidine, you get the TMP. Okay, so what is the enzyme over here? Thymidine kinase. Already mentioned it has to be the purine basis. What is the purine base over here? Inosine. And here it is thymidine kinase. So two enzymes are important, HGPRT and TK. What is TK? Thymidine kinase. So what all you have to remember about the de novo pathway, salvage pathway, and about the HGPRT TK. Now where it is present? It is present in the salvage pathways. Okay. Now, a number of mutant cell lines lacking the enzyme needed to catalyze one of the steps in salvage pathway has been isolated. So what they're saying, that they have taken a mutant, okay, of a cell which cannot have, for example, TK minus. It means what? The mutant is not able to make the thymidine. Okay, so a cell lines lacking thymidine kinase can be selected because such cells are resistant to otherwise called toxic thymidine analog 5-bromodeoxyuridine. Now, what will happen if you add 5-bromodeoxyuridine? Cells containing TK will convert 5-bromodeoxyuridine into 5-bromodeoxyuridine monophosphate. Okay. Now, this nucleoside monophosphate is then converted into nucleoside triphosphate by the other enzymes and it will be incorporated into the DNA. Now, then it will have its toxicity. Are you getting the point over here? If a cell is there and it has got thymidine kinase, now if instead of thymidine, if you put the analog called 5-bromodeoxyuridine, what will happen? Thymidine kinase will convert this 5-bromodeoxyuridine into 5-bromodeoxyuridine monophosphate. Later, it will be converted into triphosphate, which will be incorporated into the DNA synthesis, right? Now, once it is incorporated, it becomes toxic to the cells. So if a cell is not having TK minus, what will happen? It will not have the function of the TK enzyme. Hence, they will become resistant to 5-bromodeoxyuridine. Is this slide clear to everyone?
Yes.
Okay. See, each slide is going to be very important in this lecture. So what we have discussed till now, so you have got a cell line which is not having the function of the thymidine kinase. Now, what is the function of thymidine kinase? If you add the thymidine analog 5-bromodeoxyuridine, it will get converted into mono and then tri-phosphate. It means that it is going to get incorporated into the DNA strand, right? Then it will have the toxicity. It means what? When I say toxicity over here, it means it is going to have the mutation and eventually results in the death of the cell. Now, if the cell does not have thymidine kinase activity, it is not going to incorporate the 5-bromodeoxyuridine and hence no toxicity. Okay. Now, what is the selection medium? So here is a selection medium. It is called HAT medium. So what do you mean by HAT medium over here? It stands for hypoxanthine, aminopterin and thymidine. Now, hypoxanthine, why hypoxanthine is needed? Because it is going to act as your purine base. Okay. Now, what is aminopterin? Anyone? Just now we have discussed. What is aminopterin?
Blockers.
What blockers? It is your anti-folates, right?
Yes.
Or folic acid antagonist, right? Or you can also call THF blockers. Then you have got the thymidine. So this HAT medium stands for hypoxanthine, aminopterin and thymidine. Now, listen carefully, okay? Don't get confused. Normal cells can grow in HAT medium. Why? Because even though aminopterin blocks de novo synthesis of purines in TMP, the thymidine in the media is transported to the cell and gets converted to TMP by TK, and hypoxanthine is transported and converted into purines by HGPRT. Are you getting the point over here? Yes?
Ma'am, once again.
See, that's why I'm saying. See, aminopterin, what is the function of aminopterin? It blocks the de novo synthesis of your purines and pyrimidines, right? It means what? No synthesis of adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymidine, correct? Because aminopterin is going to block the de novo pathway. But along with the aminopterin, in the media you have got the hypoxanthine, which is the precursor for your inosine, IMP, inosine monophosphate, and from IMP you get A and guanine, adenine and guanine, and from thymidine you get your T and later C.
Ma'am, voice breaking, ma'am.
So as
Yes, ma'am, repeat.
aminopterin is going to block your de novo pathway. So it means no synthesis of purines and pyrimidines, right? But in the media, hypoxanthine as well as thymidine is. So the media contains hypoxanthine and thymidine. So we know hypoxanthine is part of your salvage pathway, and it is the precursor for your inosine monophosphate, IMP. And we know that from the previous slide, from IMP you can get both guanine as well as adenine, and from thymidine you can get your T, right, with the help of the enzyme called TK, thymidine kinase. So that is what is written over here. Normal cells can grow in HAT medium even if tetrahydrofolate and blocker is present, okay? Because even though aminopterin blocks de novo synthesis of purines and TMP, the thymidine in the media is transported into the cell and converted to TMP by TK. In the same way, hypoxanthine is converted into purines by the HGPRT. Now, on the other hand, neither TK minus nor HGPRT minus, it means what? The cells lack both thymidine kinase and your hypoxanthine guanine phosphoribosyl transferase enzyme also. The cells can grow in HAT medium because each lacks enzymes of the salvage pathway. Okay. It means what? These cells which does not have these enzymes cannot grow because of the salvage pathway. Now, remembering this, however, hybrids which are formed by the fusion of these two mutants will carry a normal TK gene and TK gene from the HGPRT minus parent and a normal HGPRT gene from the TK minus parent. Is this point clear? No. See, what you have done is one cell is having TK minus, okay, TK minus, the other cell is having HGPRT minus. Now, if you fuse these two, what will happen? A normal TK gene with HGPRT minus and normal HGPRT gene with the TK minus parent. So eventually what will happen? The hybrid will have both functional salvage pathway enzymes and will grow on hard medium. Is it clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh? So you have got a cell which is having HGPRT minus but TK plus. Then you have got HGPRT plus and TK minus. Now, if you put into the media of heart media, okay, what will happen? These cells will not grow. Which cells can grow? The fusion of these only can grow. Okay, the fused or the hybrid.
Hybrid.
Yes, because
Only hybrid.
the hybrid will have both the TK plus as well as the HGPRT plus. So using the salvage pathway and on the heart medium, only the hybrids can grow. Okay. So same thing is given over here. So heart medium, hypoxanthine, aminopterin, thymidine, nucleotide synthesis. The same thing is written over here also. So de novo pathway, aminopterin, nothing will be synthesized. Salvage pathway, you have got the hypoxanthine, guanine will be there, and then later we'll talk about the myeloma cells. Now, hybridomas are used to produce monoclonal antibodies. So now what we have discussed till now was the theory, the principle behind the fusion. So what kind of cells we are going to use in order to produce a hybridoma. Now these hybridomas are actually produced in bulk only to produce monoclonal antibodies. So each hybridoma will be going to produce one specific antibody depending on the type of the antigen you have given. Okay. So each normal B lymphocyte in an animal cell is capable of producing epitope or an antigen molecule. If an animal is injected with an antigen, B lymphocytes that make antibody recognizing the antigen are stimulated to grow and proliferate. So I hope you have little idea about the monoclonal. You have got little idea about the antibodies. Yes, everyone. So over here we give the Y-shaped structure to the antibody. So each antibody is going to be specific against different types of their antigens. Okay. Now each antigen activated B lymphocytes, they forms a clone of cells in the spleen or lymph nodes, with each cell of the clone producing identical antibody termed monoclonal antibody. Now, because most natural antigens contain multiple epitopes, so whatever the antigens or the epitopes we are facing like naturally in the environment, they have got the multiple sites. Okay, and because of that, when we get exposed to these antigens, what happens? Our B lymphocytes, okay, they start producing polyclonal antibodies. So we don't have monoclonal, we have got the polyclonal. So whatever antibodies we have in our body system, it is going to be polyclonal. It means what? It can bind to different sites of the antigens to which it is being exposed. Now, for many types of studies involving antibodies, monoclonal antibody is preferred over the polyclonal, because for each study we have to be very specific. If I have got the polyclonal antibody, what will happen? I won't be able to understand which antigen was exposed first or second, or which antigen is having more effect on the production of the antibodies, right? So all that won't be able to, we won't be able to study if you have got the polyclonal antibody. So that's why we are going for the monoclonal. Now, so how you're going to do the purification of monoclonal antibodies? Remember, for antigen antibody purification, which kind of chromatography can you use?
Voice breaking, ma'am.
What kind of chromatography can you use to purify antibodies and antigens? Anyone? If you talk about antibodies and antigen, which kind of chromatography you should use to purify? Anyone? Likita, any idea? So the chromatography which I was talking about is your affinity chromatography, right? So affinity, we know that there has to be a receptor and a ligand interaction in the same way antibody and antigen. So such interaction is needed in order to use affinity chromatography. Now, so for this reason, researchers look to culture techniques in order to obtain usable quantities of monoclonal antibodies. Now, how can you get monoclonal antibodies? If you have large production of cells which is able to produce more amount of antibodies. Now, the problem with the culture is that, so we know that B lymphocytes are the primary culture. Now, what is the problem with the primary culture? From the previous lecture, you should know what is the problem with the primary structure, primary culture.
They are finite.
Yes, they are finite.
They are finite.
Yes, very good. So what will happen after a few generations, they will die. So there won't be continuous culturing of the cells. So for which what people have done is they started fusing the B lymphocytes with your myeloma cells. Okay. Now what is myeloma? They are actually the oncogenically transformed lymphocytes. So what does it mean? It is your mutant. It's a tumor cell, right? So which are immortal. So we know that cancer cells are immortal. So what they have done is they have fused B lymphocytes and your myeloma cells together to form the hybridoma. Okay, so what will happen? So B lymphocytes will keep on producing your antibody, and because since it is myeloma cells, it will keep on replicating or keep on doubling, right? So this is how the
Yes.
hybrid is formed. Okay, so now to be very specific about the hybridoma. So it is a fusion of myeloma cell with normal antibody producing B cells from the rat or the mouse spleen, a hybrid that proliferates into a clone called hybridoma. Okay, so these are immortal and they are going to produce the monoclonal antibodies over here. So each selected hybridoma is then tested for the production of the desired antibody, and then it is grown in large culture, which is then purified using the chromatography techniques. Okay. Now see over here. So this is how you are going to do. So you inject the mouse with the X. What is X over here? It can be any antigen against which you want the antibodies. Okay. So now it is going to produce certain antibodies against the X over here. Then you're going to fuse, these are your myeloma cells. So what will happen? So both are then now fused into the heart media. Now remember from the previous slides, heart media means what kind of cells can grow on heart media? Only the fused ones, right? So once they are fused,
Fused one.
so they can only grow on the heart medium. Now why they can only grow? Because of that same thing, PK minus and HGPRT minus, all those conditions. Okay? Now once they are fused, then only those cells can grow on the heart media. Now whatever is going to grow, those cells you're going to collect from the plate and going to culture in your petri dishes or the new plates. So remember that 24 into 6 plates was there, not 24, sorry, 6 into 4 plates were there like this. In the previous lecture we have seen. So then in that you're going to add these cells. Okay. Then what happens? Again you are going to check among these hybridomas or among the fused cells, which one is going to be specific for the antigen X. So then if you know, okay, this particular cell is selected, then I'm going to produce this particular cells in the large scale. Okay. So same thing is written over here also, you can go through. Now there's one video I want you people to look. Okay. So again, what we are doing over here, we are injecting with the protein X, which is acting as the antigen. Now what is happening in the spleen? Your antigen is reaching into the spleen. What are these? These are your B cells, which will be producing the different antibodies. So what happened over here? There was a good antigen antibody interactions. So these particular antibodies were selected. Now they are fused with the myeloma cells, which are HGPRT minus cells. Sometimes the cells will be remaining normally and they will also fuse. So you can get different types of hybridomas. Now the problem is we need to select which one is best or which one is very specific to our antigen which we have inserted. So these are unfused lymphocytes, so obviously they will die, they cannot grow in the HAT media. Only myeloma cells will also die. Now only which are the hybrids will survive in the HAT media. So now you have taken all the survived cells in different culture media. You have grown them and antibodies were extracted, and then you have added the same antigen to the mouse you have added, right? Now you're going for the selection. Finally, you have purified the monoclonal antibodies which was specific to your protein X, which was initially injected into the mouse, right? Okay, so again the same thing. How hybrid cells are selected in the HAT media, this is the same thing. Myeloma cells which are HGPRT minus and de novo pathways blocked by the immunopterin, so cannot survive in the HAT media. Whereas B cells will also not survive in the HAT media, only the fused ones will survive. Okay, so let's do the multiple choice question. So are you ready? Are you thorough? If you have understood about the HGPRT, TK minus, hybridoma, myeloma, then you can do the multiple choice questions. Guys, are you ready? Shall we do?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I mean, I just thought of taking now itself rather than, different. So this is better. So what I've decided is like, I'll try my level best actually. So whatever topics I will be teaching, same times taking the numericals or same time taking the multiple choice question. Then and there itself, right? So it is better actually rather than making the multiple choice separately. So I feel this is better. Okay. Which of the following statements about monoclonal
Okay, ma'am.
body production is true? So your options are B cells, hybridoma, myeloma, spleen cells. So even if you don't know the answer, how can you start?
Option B.
Option? Which one?
B.
Someone said A,
B.
B. So of course it is not D because monoclonal antibody means we are going to talk about the B cells only, right? So it is not C. Sorry, it is not T cell. Then what else? From the spleen you take the cells.
B cell melanoma gives hybridoma.
Yes. So now we know that actually we are supposed to get the hybridoma. So it cannot be in the reactant this side, right? So obviously the answer is
Yes,
B
yes.
cell along with the myeloma
B.
will give you the hybridoma. Good. The question is the most direct source of monoclonal antibodies are dash cells. So which one?
B cells. B cells.
Sure. Is it B or C? Is it B or C? What can be the answer? Yes. Yes, Rinki, what do you think? Is it B or C?
Ma'am, C.
Someone said B. Why do you think that it is B or C? I mean, give me the reason.
Monoclonal antibodies are B cells. No?
Usually B cells gives you the polyclonal.
Spleen, ma'am.
Spleen is the organ where you have these cells which produce
B cell.
spleen and the lymph nodes where you see your B and T cells producing the antibodies.
Yes.
Sorry, B cells.
Yes.
So what should be the answer? Hybridoma. Okay.
Hybridoma.
Now, a single monoclonal antibody can bind to different sites on an antigen. Is it true or false? We are talking about a single monoclonal antibody binding to different sites on an antigen. So it is going to be true or false?
False.
False. Very good. Because only polyclonal antibody can bind to different sites on antigen, right? In the case of single monoclonal antibody, it will bind to only one kind of antigen. So the
One.
answer is false. Okay. Now, monoclonal antibodies have application in cancer therapy and diagnostic microbiology. What do you think? It's true or false?
True, ma'am.
True, ma'am.
It is true. So nowadays we are using for cancer therapy also, there is something called immuno-targeted therapy. So where a specific type of cancer, let us say we are talking about the breast cancer. So there are certain antibodies which will only detect the breast cancer cells. Okay. So there are certain receptors which are specific only to the cancer cells, which will go and bind to these antibodies will go and bind to these specific cells. What will happen then? These cells will undergo apoptosis. Okay. And that's how it will cure the cancer. Now, in hybridoma technology, the myeloma cells lack yes. In hybridoma technology, the myeloma cells use lag dash. Yes, we have discussed this thing.
Bo-
Huh? HGPRTase, it's nothing, transferase only. Don't get confused. Then the second option is ability to produce IG. IG is what? Immunoglobulin. So they are talking about the ability to produce antibodies. Third option, both HGPRT enzyme and ability to produce antibodies. Last option is thymidine kinase. So what is the answer over here? See, this is what you're not listening, it means. Now I have to call out by names.
If we learn again, if we revise again, we can say, ma'am.
Repeated the slides 3 times, each slide telling you that it's very important. Now I have to call by name. Yes, Pratima, what do you think? What is the answer? What are myeloma cells? Can you remember what are myeloma cells? They are?
Yes, ma'am. Tumor
They're
cells.
what? Oncogenic?
Yes.
No, it is yes, but oncogenic dash again, what is there? Again, it is a kind of lymphocytes only, right? But oncogenic. So it means what? They don't have HGPRT because HGPRT minus, since it is again lymphocytes only, but are not able to produce antibodies. Okay, so your normal cell is only going to produce the antibodies in which we are interested. Now is it clear? So in the hybridoma technology, the myeloma cells which we are taking, they don't have this enzyme, first of all, HGPRT, they are minus. Okay. And since they are oncogenic, they just keep on dividing. They are immortal, that's all, and does not have the ability to produce antibodies. Clear now? So what is the answer? C. Both HGPRT and ability to produce IG, that is antibody. So your answer is C. Now, monoclonal antibodies are dash, heterogeneous or homogeneous, both A and B, none of these. This you should know the answer. Ranjan, what is the answer over here? Huh? It is?
B.
Yes, very good. It is homogeneous antibodies produced from single class of plasma cells. What are plasma cells? Nothing. B cells. So it is homogeneous because only one type of antibodies will be produced, one from one cluster of the B cells. So your monoclonal antibodies are homogeneous antibodies produced from single class of plasma cells. So answer is B. Very good. Now, all of the following are needed to produce monoclonal antibodies except dash. Yes. So what is the answer? So if you're going to produce monoclonal antibodies, animal to inject, is it required? Yes, you saw the video also, right?
Yes.
You
Yes,
need,
ma'am.
yes. So you need an antigen and it will be injected to the animal. So it is required. What about polyvalent antigen? What is PEG? PEG is again your
Fusion.
polyethylene glycol.
Glycol.
So do you need this PEG for your monoclonal antibodies? Yes, right, because you're going for cell fusion. So you need PEG.
Yes.
You
For
need animal to
hybridoma.
inject.
Yes.
Right. So what about polyvalent antigen? Since they are talking about monoclonal, we need only one antigen. So hence polyvalent antigen is not needed because polyvalent antigen will give us polyclonal antibodies.
Yes.
So what is the
Polyvalent
answer?
antigen.
Yes. So except polyvalent antigen, rest all is needed. Okay. Name the drug which is used to isolate
Yes, ma'am.
hybridoma cells from the media. So here the answer is, what is present in HAT media? The drug used to isolate hybridoma cells from the media. What is A over here? This is hypoxanthine. This is thymidine.
Thymidine.
A.
Yes. Aminopterin.
This aminopterin.
Aminopterin.
Good.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So thank you people for listening. Now we need outside there. Let's discuss.